hop is not music. It is not dancing or DJing. It is not writing or rhyming. It is not the boom, bap, the boom, boom, bap. But the way the boom bap feels when it moves through you. Hip hop is not music. It is feeling. Hip hop is within. So I wanted to start out with that piece because I want to make a clarifying statement. I want to be talking about the cipher. And when we're talking about the cipher, we've got to refer back to hip hop a great deal. So I want to start first. How many of you like hip hop? Okay, number. Okay, good. How many of you have problems with hip hop? Okay, about half of those people, right? I'm going to start because when I look at television and radio, what I see represents about 2% of the hip hop that I know. I've traveled to 34 different countries around the world, and I've seen hip hop practitioners represent the culture in a myriad of different ways that we never see on television here in the United States of America. Songs that we never get to hear on the radio. So I want to begin first by giving you a context. When I say the words hip hop, that I'm not necessarily talking about what you heard on the way here in the car in the commercial radio. I'm talking about the art. And I'm talking about the craft. I'm talking about those of us who love this the same way. You guys know jazz lovers who like, they just live and breathe for that. Yeah, man. Right? There are hip hop people. If you can take me anywhere in the world, drop me out of an airplane, and if you can show me where the hip hop heads are, I can show you that I have a place to sleep tonight and something to eat. It's not a cult, it's just a community. Right? A community of people who love this music and art culture. It's in its 4th decade now. So that gets rid of the stereotype that hip hop is a teeny bopper phenomenon. So the hip hop heads that started it, they have grandchildren in middle school and high school and headed to college, right? So it's not that. And so you will find a lot of people in the upper decades, as my girlfriend who's turning 40 likes to call it, in the upper decades, celebrating and participating in the culture. Now, my sister has a problem with my sneakers because she thinks these should stop at 30. But I am who I am. And hip hop has allowed me the space to really embrace that. And so I have friends who are hip hop heads who've gone on to be scholars who study it the same way that people study molecular science. I know folks who use hip hop to teach math and science, and who use hip-hop in clinical settings as psychologists. That's how expansive it's become in its usage. However, because it's limited in terms of what we get exposed to on a daily basis, we forget that it's an art form and we can't embrace it with ease. And so it makes it difficult for us to really leverage its power and to leverage the possibilities. And I say that the surface has only been scratched so far. Now, what is a cipher, right? If we're going to deal with the wisdom of the cipher, we got to know what it is. Now, cipher is spelled both C-I-P-H-E-R and C-Y-P-H-E-R. Why? Because hip-hop people like to change the spellings of words. It's not that deep. They really do. They change the spellings of names, and they spell things differently, and it gets complicated when you're trying to Google someone. But who knew Google would be, but that's another talk. In the cipher, the definition deals with the circle. It's very simple. It's 360 degrees. It's about completion of thought. It's giving and exchanging information, energy, and ideas. The cipher is about community building. It's about connection. And Popmaster Fable, the legendary b-boy, says that we've been ciphering for centuries. Dancing in ciphers, circles, eating, praying, drumming, forever since mankind has been around. Erykah Badu, the envelope-pushing soul singer, sang an entire song dedicated to the cipher. And Dr. Kiragan, an ethnomusicologist, states that the cipher is basically the sum of all things and zero at the same time. So you see, this cipher stuff gets really deep, y'all. It may seem like lightweight, people sitting in a circle, just doing their little thing, but it is very powerful. I had a dinner conversation last night, and one of the other speakers, we talked about this idea of using the cipher for healing and transformation and using it to work with people who have PTSD. And so it's time for us to really start looking at what we already have access to. Now, I started using ciphers to work with rappers. I wanted to become a better rapper. I wanted to learn how to freestyle. And I just kind of followed my gut. I took my training. I had as a competitive speaker for 8 years of my life, and I competed in impromptu and extemporaneous. I took my training, my public speaking training, and I combined that with my art training, and I brought together this whole process of bringing together rappers and the cipher. We do introduction, storytelling, debate current events, all freestyled and improvised in the moment in the circle. And what I started to notice is that when we sat in a circle and you had the right music flowing, that people who were negative 4 weeks ago somehow let go of some of that negativity and started to be more creative. Or they figured out new ways to tell the same stories in ways that were more moving and more touching. And at the end of the day, you know what I realized? It was just about authenticity. When you get into the cipher and you realize there are people that want to hear your voice, they want to honor you, that there are people here who are supporting your voice within the context of this circle, it begins to change you. It transforms your spirit, it transforms your mind, your identity, the way you see yourself, and the way you experience yourself in this world and this life. Now, I've taken this cipher concept, and now I'm working with MBA programs, business professionals, nonprofit executives, social entrepreneurs, school administrators, and teachers. And to my surprise, it's universal. Everybody loves to be in the circle with each other. It's not just for elementary school. And why does it work? Let's figure that out. That's what I'm here to talk about. Now, the cipher is important because we feel it. In the cipher, things happen, like you get goosebumps. We start to laugh, and the laughter becomes contagious. In the cipher, we feel what this person over here is feeling. It can move us to tears or have us stand up in joy. We start to gasp for air because energy matters, and energy is important. Now, this word cipher is rooted in spirituality and religion. And I was so surprised when I discovered this. I started to pay attention, and I realized that it came from, initially I thought that it came from an era in hip hop when a lot of artists and entertainers were a part of the 5% nation. And the word cipher was used to describe when they would study their lessons. I said this at Olympia College in Washington, the state of Washington, and an elderly woman came from the back and she says, "My dear, you are wrong. We had ciphers in Louisiana when I was a little girl. And my grandmother would go to ciphers at the church. And then she whispered in my ear, the ciphers were really parties, but they weren't allowed to have parties." And so I just thought it was ironic that it was still in a spiritual context, and that it was still about emotions and feelings and people fellowshipping to get together. The cipher offers us a plethora of opportunities for personal growth. In terms of building critical thinking skills, building community, expanding our vocabulary, developing our self-confidence, heightening our access to our creativity, which then heightens our access to problem solving and adaptability. The cipher offers us so much wisdom. And in my book, Wisdom of the Cipher, which I'm in the process of completing, I talk about a whole bunch of things I've learned in working with rap lyricists. And now I'm starting to notice that this is not about rap lyricists. This is about human beings and the human experience and what the arts and creative processes can teach us to improve each of our lives. This whole idea of allowing the energy to flow. Allowing the energy flow, because we are all present in the cipher. So even if you're not speaking or spitting, as we say in hip hop, your presence still matters, right? And it's this idea, if everyone can rub your hands together. I know you probably did this in science class. I heard a minister a couple weeks ago, and he did this at the church. And now, I want you to pull your hands apart, barely apart, and feel the energy between your hands. That's how easy it is to conjure up energy, right? So we often think, when we think about energy, we think about electricity, we think about heat and consumable forms of energy, but we forget about the energy that we create within ourselves. We forget that we share energy with one another. Have you ever walked into a room and you could tell what was going on without anyone saying anything? Like you could feel it, right? Or have you heard the phrase, you could cut the air with a knife? That's how normal it is to experience energy in our world. So imagine if we had the ability to master it and that we walk around in our lives conscious of it. that we could determine the energy. We could set the tone whenever we walk into a space. I know parents would love to do that, right? How many of you have rambunctious 4-year-olds? A few? Somebody said, yeah. This idea about energy. I think another wisdom that I have that I really, really love talking about is this idea of battling yourself because you are your own worst enemy. We live in a very competitive society. So it's no coincidence that within hip hop, one of the most popular traditions is the idea of the battle, the rap battle. I'm gonna beat you, right? Which is okay for competition, but within the context of the Cypher, it's really important that you come to this space for growth and development. And it's very difficult to master yourself if you're focusing on mastering someone else. These are rooted in ancient principles, techniques, ideas, and philosophies. I remember being accused of trying to feminize the Cypher at one point because I wouldn't allow battling. So they said, she's trying to feminize hip hop. And I thought, wouldn't that be a nice thing to have a little bit more feminine energy in this overly masculine thing? You can clap. But that wasn't it at all. My boyfriend at the time, this is a very girl-chick moment, was all in the martial arts and getting his black belt. So I did the thing that young girlfriends do. You do everything he's doing, right? So I read, but this is the blessing. Their relationships, you get growth opportunities from those too. And so I learned a lot about martial arts beliefs and philosophies, and that's where I borrowed this from. And I started to comb literature and started to apply it because it helped to like channel the young male energy that was coming to a lot of my events. And so the idea of battling yourself because you're your own worst enemy is really about being able to focus on yourself. I have a beatboxer in the room, I believe. Is there my beatboxer is here? Bachi, or one of the beatboxers here? So can we get a microphone for the beatboxer? So I wanted to conclude saying that I really believe in the power of the Cypher and the circle in terms of changing our lives and making our world a better place. And I believe that simple things are what we need most. Like, we don't need a scientist to figure out that being able to practice the lost art of being one another is important, right? It's a very simple concept, but very important. The Cypher helps us transform and heal. It helps us promote good feelings. It helps us think about what it is we're saying. And just imagine at a town hall meeting, everyone in the room being in a Cypher, being able to express what it is they're saying. Imagine the civic dialogue that could come from this. And this wisdom, ironically, comes from hip hop. It comes from hip hop. And so I assert, can I get my beatboxer up? Can I get my microphone? They're bringing me. Okay. Greetings. And so one of my travels, I just want to make note, during my travels around the world, I've met a lot of folks. And in 2001, my first assignment with the U.S. Department of State was to a country in West Africa called Senegal. And so I met a host of artists who have become like family to me over the years. And some of these guys just happen to live in Amherst, Massachusetts. Who knew? But it's great to see them. There's a group called Bidi Boubès and Goat Beat System. And so the love and the support, and we met, and it's the first time I was in a Cypher where I cried was in Senegal, just so you know. So it's a very special place for me, in addition to me believing that that's where my roots are. So are you ready? I want to close this with a performance. And so I'm going to freestyle. Can you guys give me the topics? TED, political injustice. Over here? Feminism. We are at a university, I guess. Okay, so we got TED, political injustice, feminism, and happiness, and love. Okay, you guys, you ready?
Go fast or slow?
Slow.
Okay.
I had to get up really early this morning for these people. I was like, there's an artist. You put the artist first. That's why I'm like, whoo. Okay, you ready?
Yes, my name is Baidi, from West Africa, Senegal. The group is Bideu Boubès. Bideu Boubès is mean new stars in the sky, new hope, new vision, new philosophy. And we have to promote good information. Yes, that's it.
And that's what this conference is about. Okay, go ahead. Tim. Yeah. By D on the beat. Said I came to TED with a little bit of bedhead, cause it was early this morning. I walked in stretching and yawning. I said, Kareem, you gonna be gone. Where's breakfast? Where's my tea? He just stood there and he looked at me. But I dug deep. I said, this is not injustice. This is about just us rising politically, understand it environmentally and socially. We got to elevate and make this world great, make it better. We got to be feminist through this weather. Sexism and depression. I said these women, they try to be testing, but I'm up here, yes, professing. Off my chest, see, I'm going to start confessing. Sometimes being a girl is hard. Sometimes I try to pray to God. Sometimes I'm saying, oh my Lord. I said I reach for happiness when I'm dealing with the stress. I get into the cipher and I do my best. What? Said I think about love and the Bay Area. Think about joy and it's feeling scarier. I think about the beach and the sunshine we don't have today. I think about the way that my mind plays lyrically. I think about Senegal and Dakar. Why is the place gotta be so far? I don't know, said we rising like stars, said today, as we start to say the cipher and its wisdom, said we bringing it to you. That's what, yeah, we do. We searching for the ending, but that's all right because this guy's been bending. Yes. Woo! Give thanks to Toni Blackman. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.